Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are very welcome to episode 16 in my made-up numbers version. I don't even think it's episode 16. I just make up the numbers every week. Episode 16 of Premier League Khanage. It could be 17. It could be 15. Who knows? Go back and count if you're that bothered, if you that care that much. I don't. I just make up the numbers. Poor poor Noor does the thumbnails, and he actually puts it in the corner. I don't know if you've got the thumbnail, Sonny. Have you got the thumbnail? He normally puts it in the corner, episode something. So I don't want to do him a disservice. If he hasn't, episode 16, he has.
There you go. There you go. Episode 16 there in the
corner. I was right. Episode 16. You're very welcome. Premier League Khanage. Wow, was there carnage? So much to get through, so much to talk about. First and foremost, happy Ramadan Mubarak. Whoever's been fasting today, hope you've opened up your fast.
I'm still fasting. I'm still fasting.
Okay.
No way.
Can you just please relax with the rants then and the hot takes and the wild takes and the lies? Make sure you don't lie. Make sure you don't talk rubbish. Make sure you make So I'll have an extra eye on you. Get rid of this thumbnail, Sonny, man. You know what I mean? It's like, what is this, man? It's bad for the eyes. Joining me today, of course, as you can see, Bilal is not available to co-host today, but I have got the wonderful, the latest addition to Premier League Khanage, and that is not the latest addition, but the latest co-host of mine, Sani. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, it's a day after WrestleMania. I might not be Bilal, but I'm the new co-host. All I'm going to say is acknowledge your daddy because I'm the tribal chief. Acknowledge me!
That's right. Oh my God, I just realized more of this WWE bullshit. Oh God, I realize I have to learn to accept that you are a massive WWE fan. There will be puns and lines and thrown in that I may not get, the chat may get. So at least as long as the chat's with you, who gives a shit about an old man like me? Do you know what I mean? But of course, Igal, I've got Igal. I just realized making his debut on my channel. That is a massive, massive shame for me. But I'm so happy to have you, Igal. Hope you're doing very well.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, it's a pleasure. I've been, as I was telling you before the stream, I've been watching you for a long time, so it's nice to be on your channel. I appreciate it, bro.
Amazing stuff, man. Yeah, I should have had you on so long, but you're so busy, man. I just see you everywhere, and I thought now's the season because in the past, right, your club has gone through turmoil, and it's not fair to get people on when they're in the mud just to mock them, have a joke with them, cuss them while they're down. I'm not one of those people. People know I'm the community man. You know what I mean? I thought the time to bring you on is when you're on the up, you're on the bout to probably win the league. We will discuss it. But I thought it's time to bring you on when you're happy and all of your support and backing of your club is showing fruition now. So I thought it's the best time to bring you on. But we will get into all that. We will get into that.
We will.
We've got Judge Mo. Judge Mo is the judge, jury, and executioner. He's the neutral one. He doesn't have a Premier League club, so he says. But apparently, I've been getting messages like that Mo guy. He says he doesn't have a club, but he does a lot of favoritism to, I won't say Club X, Club Y, Club Z. I will leave it to the subscribers, followers, watchers to work out which team he favors. Mo, hope you're doing very well.
Happy Ramadan, everybody. And I'm glad to be here. As always. Fantastic panel, of course.
Of course. And we have to have a representative of a club that's probably taken the headlines away from possibly Liverpool this season. I'm so grateful for your club this season because otherwise this season it's never going to be forgotten anyway for the drop-off in Liverpool. But my word, have you kept us sort of semi-relevant instead of fully relevant. Welcome, Eunice, again.
Thank you for having me on, man. I mean, yeah, we done that to help you guys, but we did have an expiry date on that, and that date was the 4th of April.
Okay.
So after tomorrow, it's all going to be about Liverpool.
Okay.
That's it. We gave you up until now. Now you're going to be pulled back into the trenches, and we're coming out of it. So.
Well, let's see. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But look, I guess there's only one way, one place to start. And even though I introduced you last, I'm gonna go to you first, Eunice. Potter's run out of magic. Sani has got captioned here. So look, I know from listening to you and speaking to you that you thought this was possibly a few weeks too late, even.
Months.
Months, okay, months.
For me personally, months. For the fan base, yeah, maybe weeks.
So go on, talk me through the timeline of events of the last 48 hours or whatever, and just give us your take and opinion on the debacle of the appointments, a debacle, right? First and foremost.
That's the thing. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. And I can only speak from my perspective, properly at 100%. I remember when it happened, and the fear that I had was, I hope the job's not too big for him. Because I think deep down everyone knew this might be a bit too big for you, mate. But you go with it, you run with it, you hope. And yeah, it came late. Honestly, like, it should have happened earlier. Even if the owners are going to try and stick with him and give the chance and whatnot, but it should have happened probably after, like, before we went on the little mini sort of run of getting a result against Dortmund, Leeds. Even before then, it probably should have happened at that point. But for me personally, I look at the owners and I think, you know what? It's your first rodeo. Let's say, right? It's your first gig in Premier League football, in football as a whole. So, look, you've made a mistake. I'm just glad that they've owned up to it. They've allowed the football people at the club to take the decision. Because yesterday what happened was,
can you remind us, can you tell us who are the football people at the club that you think, or the story is have made the actual decision?
So when Potter was hired, just to give some context, it was only Todd Bowley and Egbali as the co-controlling owners that could make the decision. They got Todd Bowley got rid of Thomas Tuchel, and then they hired Graham Potter with no director in place, because we got rid of Marina and got rid of Petr Cech and everyone that was in place. After Graham Potter, we got Christopher Vivor from RB Leipzig as the technical director. We got Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, who both came in as co-sporting directors from Brighton.
Yep.
Right? They're the ones that pulled the trigger, ironically. The ones that came from Brighton. Wow. Yeah. So yesterday, it was those two that had been given the ultimate, like, what do you think needs to be done? And they're the ones that informed Graham Potter. They told Todd Bowley and Egbali, we have to make the change because we've now gone into the bottom half of the table. We went into 11th. So that's how it went down. And look, I'm just glad it's over.
So,
and I think the whole fans.
I want to take you back just very, very quickly and very briefly. You say it was the wrong appointment in the first place. Was the decision to sack Tuchel,
Thomas Tuchel,
was that the first mistake? Would you say?
Yeah.
Not the hiring of Potter, but then. Did they have much option with Tuchel? Because if the manager is, and by all accounts and by the reliable reports, it suggests he had a confrontation with Tuchel's tactics with the owner's decisions. Todd Bowley's, yeah. There's only one winner in that situation if that's the case. Or did you want Todd Bowley to be a bit more understanding, be a bit more philosophical, be a bit more shrewd and work around it?
Yeah, this is the thing, because it actually looked like it went really, really south between Todd Bowley and Thomas Tuchel. Just them two. Tuchel seemed like still got along with the other owner, Egbali. They had first game at the Bridge of the season. You see, they do it fairly common where, the staff come out, they greet the fans. It's the first game of the season, let's get up and running. Todd Bowley and Egbali were there. Thomas Tuchel and his coaching staff came out before the game had started, and they shook hands with everybody. Tuchel purposely skipped past Todd Bowley. Shook hands with Egbali, shook hands with everyone else, even the 86-year-old other owner that we have that no one really talks about, who's there like maybe once in a blue moon, the Swiss guy. Shook hands with him, didn't shake hands with Todd Bowley. So you could see it was a personal breakdown between him and Todd. It wasn't anything to do with how we were playing on the pitch. It was a pure clash of fundamental ideas between those two individuals only. So that's how it broke down. And I think that's why he pulled the trigger so soon.
But that's an indication, a very early indication of what kind of owner you have. If that's the case...
That's what I thought, yeah. And that's what a lot of us thought. This is why we're surprised it's gone on this long with Graham Potter, because for the ones that saw it, we were like, yo, make the change. This is getting desperate. And it was stubbornness and just, no, we're going to keep backing. But I get, as his first own proper appointment, I can understand if he really gave it all the way till the end to just
someone had to pay, Eunice. Someone had to pay.
Something.
Someone had to pay at the end. Let me just say something. Someone had to pay. Listen, Chelsea are a big club, no matter what we say. The most successful club in England in the last 20 years based on trophies, right? So this is a big brand. And this guy bought a club, but it's a brand at the end. You can't fire all the players. You can't fire the owners. Someone had to go. And it doesn't matter if it's a project, not a project. You're hurting. At this point, you were hurting the brand, I think, from November. And he kept waiting and waiting. It's hurting everything, marketing-wise. Everything is getting hurt in this club. And I thought that he, as a businessman, he should have seen this earlier, that the brand is going down. The stock of the brand is going down. People are getting away from the club. The ads, everything. Someone had to pay. And unfortunately, it's Graham Potter. But I think it's too late, because now you're at the end of the season. What do you do now? You're in a little bit of because of the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Because if you go to the Champions League semifinal, you got the brand back. You're back in the picture. People are looking at you and say, oh, it's not totally failure. You're in the semifinal of the Champions League. It's kind of a weird decision that it should have been way earlier, to be honest.
You was going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree that Graham Potter should have been sacked a little bit earlier. I agree that some of the decisions to keep him a little bit longer was the right thing. But at the end of the day, Graham Potter is not the only problem at Chelsea Football Club. The real problem at Chelsea Football Club is that you guys were forced to change your owner. You guys were forced to change your manager because the owner changed the manager.
Yeah.
You guys changed the backroom staff, Petr Cech leaving, Marina leaving, and you're basically changing the whole club. So with Roman leaving, you now have a whole new Chelsea. Jonas, you guys still have the high expectations of Roman's Chelsea. This is no longer Roman's Chelsea. And I really do believe he's building for a long-term project and not instant success. So I think a lot of your fans will continuously want that instant success from the Roman days, and they won't be able to have any level of patience for what you guys would consider below your standards from under
I was on and we were speaking off air. I was on 90 Minutes in the morning, and I got raided, absolutely assaulted in the live chat by Chelsea fans, about 2,000 of them. Because I'm not. So you shouldn't be either. And Eunice, I wanted to get your take on it, and the reason why, and because I think you'll agree with me, because all I was saying was, what do we know factually, as opposed to giving subjective opinions on what's the issues, what's not issues. That's subjective. That's opinions. What I was suggesting was, what I was giving and speaking on was facts. The facts are, your club is based off the model of Real Madrid, especially in terms of managerial appointments. It's win, otherwise you're out. Revolving doors type setup. That's fine, because your club is entitled to behave how they want. It's absolutely fine. Your owner decides how he does it. Roman Abramovich has given you a step ladder to success. Most other clubs take decades and decades to build up to the levels that you reached within a decade. And that was just like we speak about Man City and the Abu Dhabi group, PSG with the Qataris, you guys with the Roman Abramovich, right? Fact. There's no other way of doing it really and sustaining it unless you have a rich sugar daddy and great appointments. Now, all I said at the moment is your club is being, for the last year or so, your club has been shambles. That's a fact. If any Chelsea fans are happy with the way their club is being run or has been run and are happy with the situation, then you can come at me. I'm not hating while you're winning. If you're winning and I'm saying, they're still rubbish, that's hate. If you've made a brilliant appointment and everything's brilliant, your signings have been popping off and successful, you've got a recruitment policy that makes sense, there's a vision, and then I'm still talking rubbish about your club, that's hating, that's bitter. I'm saying your club is a shambles. Tell me otherwise. Tell me it's not. I'm saying your owner hasn't got a clue what he's been doing. That's fact. He may learn. Our owners for sure spent 5-6 years, didn't have a clue what they were doing. And I was critical of them, and we were a shambles. It's fine to be a shambles, but the first thing you must do is recognize and accept it's a shambles and you've been wrong. A lot of Chelsea fans refuse to do this, Eunice.
But Chris, I was going to say this before Eunice goes. I get the same criticism. The reason being they don't want to be told that Graham Potter is not the issue. That they don't want to be told that the person that they pinpointed as the sacrificial lamb is not the issue. And they're pointing their anger at their club towards you for pointing out those honest truths.
With this is about Todd Bowley and the new owners. To a certain level, I completely agree, because as I said earlier, they're new, and the one fundamental thing which was correct that was said earlier is, look, none of this technically really was expected to happen in the first place. Realistically, we should still be with Roman Abramovich. That if we're going all the way back to what was the catalyst, he didn't want to sell. Like, realistically, he should still be here, but it all went down. So with the sanctions and with what went down and how it all happened, even as a fan base, it's out of our control. It's out of our hands. As a club, it's out of our hands. This is in the hands of the UK government. It was what it was. When these new owners were selected, they came in. There was a case of, look, they might not know much to do with the game. I hope they've got a fundamental understanding. And there was a level of leeway that I think even the fan base were willing to give, which, even with the appointment of Graham Potter, it was a case of, let's see what happens, right? We have serious doubts after sacking Tuchel and getting Graham Potter. Let's see what happens. Absolutely, they have a portion to blame in terms of why Graham Potter has failed in the way that he did. In terms of match-to-match management and the way that the team has been managed throughout this process, Graham Potter has been a shambles, right? But in terms of him getting the job in the first place, being given this amount of time, the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, with him being appointed, there was no one else in the club making decisions except Todd Bowley and, you could say, Agbali. It's a good sign now, with the points that you've made, that they've actually taken a step back and they're allowing Lawrence Stewart, Winstanley and Vival to start making decisions. Like the new manager that's going to be appointed, it's not going to be Todd Bowley and Agbali. We now know this. It's Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley that are driving the search for who the new manager is going to be.
Which is why they're hired. Which is why they're hired. This is the resume.
Yeah. And they weren't there at first. So it's in hindsight where you look and you go, you know what, like the point you mentioned, yeah, I hope they've understood it now. And I hope that they've learned that what they did at first was a mistake and they've now rectified it. And now they've got football people that they're trusting to make football decisions. If they go down that route, then fair enough.
No, and so Sonny, go on.
I've got a question for Eunice as well, because I'm a Man United fan. We all know what happened in the 13-14 season when we hired Moyes as well. Could you say there's an argument that there are comparisons to that Moyes season in terms of a lot of people said that Moyes was out of his depth? There was, of course, that comeback against Olympiacos. We were 2-0 down. Van Persie got the hat-trick. Of course, you guys had that comeback against Dortmund. Do you think there's a comparison in terms of, Moyes and Potter being out of their depth at these big clubs? Yeah, I think so. And I genuinely think, look, there are some managers that are at a certain level and they belong there. I'm not saying Graham Potter's a bad manager overall. No, he's definitely not. But he's not one for an elite football club. He just isn't. That's just not his level. He just won't reach that. I don't think.
I got a question here, Grizz, for that, because I was talking this morning about why did Eddie Howe succeed at Newcastle and Graham Potter failed at Chelsea with more resources? And both of them are coming from Canada, that similar environment, mid to lower table club. One of them got relegated. Another one.
Pressure.
That, and I have to say, even the way that Eddie Howe conducts himself, we got to learn and understand the character of Graham Potter quite a lot. And let me tell you this in terms of politely, and I think you guys can see it for yourselves. Bland. Like nice guy, very nice guy. But that's it. There isn't any fire. I think Eddie Howe has a little bit more of that and a little bit more authority in the dressing room. That's the key word, because it came out even today that, and it's funny how things come out afterwards, but yeah, Graham Potter was seen as not decisive or authoritarian enough. You know, there were some players actually struck in terms of how loose at times when they were expecting a grilling, they didn't get one. And
But that's
I think the two scenarios, I think the two clubs, the two clubs, the way they've been run, the two appointments, I think they are comparable, but they're not at the same time.
But they're not. I agree.
Right. 10
Newcastle.
We'll cuss 10 hard later, Sonny.
Oh, stop it.
But Eddie Howe and Potter, Eddie Howe, you can almost instantly see the signings that they made were Eddie Howe signings.
Yeah, exactly.
They were done with the approval of Eddie Howe. But this all goes back to the meetings that must have taken place with Eddie Howe and the owners and Potter and the owners. Potter, when he met Ted Bowley, would have had an idea of how he wants to coach, how he wants to manage the kind of players. What was said in that meeting, obviously we will never find out, but that is where you can blame Potter. Otherwise, and I know you've been very vocal about it, anti-Potter, I don't think Potter is the issue at all. I think any manager walking into that situation, any coach that's worth his salt, and I'm talking about coach, would have struggled, because it's impossible
100%.
to coach 30 to 36 players in a training session. You haven't had a chance to recognize the personalities, work out their personalities, work out their pros, cons, players coming in from loan, players been dropping in from the transfer market. What your club needed, in my humble opinion, was a manager, not a coach. He needed to manage that club. You needed someone with authority and aura to manage, not coach. You put in a coach, you put in a supply teacher in front of 36 rowdy students. Some of them have got on their last warnings, otherwise they're getting booed out of the school. And you put a supply teacher in there who has no idea what their personalities were like. You needed to put the head teacher in there. You needed to put the assistant head teacher in there. What they're called these days in school? What are they called, man? I don't know. Vice. That's it. Vice head or something.
Vice principal.
Yeah, you know what I mean, boys. You know what I mean, people.
I was going to say this off what you're saying, though, Grizz. I honestly do believe there's a fundamental issue at Chelsea Football Club where no manager will ever be given time with their fans. Because of their sustained success under Roman Abramovich, they're going to continuously go back to the idea of, if things are not going right, we need to get the man up top and change the manager. Even though the players are not suited to the style that they want to play, even though that they have a bunch of players that might not actually be good enough to get them to where they want to go, even though they have so many fundamental problems with their starting 11 where it's not balanced and hasn't been balanced for a long time. Enzo came in, but they still need more midfield depth, in my opinion. And it's like, these things are not things that Graham Potter alone would have changed. It needs to be from the bottom down. And I think, Jonas, you've said this numerous times yourself probably, but there's fundamental issues from the bottom down. And it's going to take a while for them to get that all sorted out.
No, I don't think that, Eunice, do you think they should go this way? Do you think, as a Chelsea fan, and you've been a Chelsea fan for years, and you see the success and you saw the ups and downs, do you think they should go this way? Or do they go back to hire somebody, get a trophy, move on if it doesn't work, get the next one, and be successful, make money? Globalization is great, everything is working fine, and you're happy.
You know what? Look, there's this. It seems. I think many people reckon that it's either one or the other. You know, like, okay, we're gonna go down a project, and it's gonna start very slow, and it's gonna be, like that, and then we're gonna gradually get there in 6 or 7 years, or we're gonna, go short term, and we're gonna win the league next year. Like Thomas Tuchel said it after he got sacked. In order to trust the process, you need results. That's it. And I think in terms of the bare minimum at Chelsea to accept as part of a process would be if we were in a Europa League spot, for example, or, not 11th. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. It's once you cross a certain line where you have to throw the process out the window. If you're in a certain bracket and it's deemed acceptable for the quality of the squad and you know where you're trying to get to, and you have to get rid of players, which we're going to do this summer, by the way. You're going to see a lot of players leave. but the squad is still good enough to be able to be at a level of, let's say, 6th. Do you know what I mean? The quality is there. So for us to end up 11th means, no, there's something fundamentally wrong going on within the setup. And I think that's where the quality in terms of who is actually taking the responsibility is, because a better manager would probably have, like Tuchel did, even with struggles, had us in 6th.
No, but do you think your fan base can ever, or do you think it will always be a revolving door? Because I think it's unfair to expect a club to continuously sack and hire a manager in the state that Chelsea are in right now. You continuously bring in a new manager. Eventually, you're going to realize he's not the issue. Celebrate that he's sacked and that you've moved on to better things.
But again, just to, and I'm sorry, I know you threw that at Yunus, but I'm going to step in because I'm going to ask you, as a fan, will you care if you're successful and if you've got the trophy haul that Chelsea have of the last 20 years? Why would you care? I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't care. And I'm Liverpool. We've done it the right way. We didn't do it with sugar daddy owners. We done it the proper way, whatever. I couldn't care how we done it. And I'm being honest, if we had the trophy haul of Chelsea, I'd be happy, bro.
Football is a results business.
Haul, my point is that trophy haul was under Roman. Who's to say the new?
But no one's to say otherwise as well. When Roman Abramovich started off, he started buying players left, right, and centre.
Chelsea finished trophyless in their first season as well.
Sure, and it's going to happen. My point is, if Todd Bowley's, for example, I think we'll finish this segment with the question. I think Igal's trying to say, and I think
it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I think it is.
It has been. It has
been sustainable. It literally has been proven to be sustainable, Igal.
This is the thing. I think. Look, the proof is in the pudding, right? This whole thing about
he's only there because of a war. He's Roman Abramovich is not there because of a war. Not because of it's not sustainable. He would have continued throwing money and winning money.
I think, here's my case. I think Chelsea would have been in a better situation and would have won even more trophies if they had a situation where they had somebody who could put the club ethos and have sustained success and have players come through, because they've missed out on so many opportunities where they had quality players that left the club.
Bro.
Yeah, that's a theory, Igal.
I hate Chelsea. I hate Chelsea more than all of you.
I get what you're saying, Igal. I get what you're saying. That's a theory. That's an assumption. But what happens?
I hate Chelsea more than anyone. Everyone knows that. But I disagree. I think they don't care how it's done. Do you think PSG will care if they win the Champions League how it's done? Man City, do you think they can? No club, nobody cares. Only the outside were thinking, no, but they're more sustainable, more means more, or the right way, morals and all that. Out the window. Football is, what Sani said, a results business. Real Madrid, who is the best club in the world?
Real Madrid.
What is their history of managers? That just shows you it is sustainable.
And Ancelotti won La Decima for him, and then he got sacked next season.
We can have our personal opinions on how a club should be run morally and ethically, and policies and manager policy. Be nice to managers. No, like you just saying, no, I don't care.
If you look in terms of modern football and where it's going, right? It'd be ideal to have one manager comes in and there's stability and there's success, and you're riding with that guy.
I'm asking everyone, why is it ideal?
But listen, this season alone, how many managers have been sacked in the Premier League?
12.
Wow.
13 now.
No, right? This is the 12th. This is the 12th.
I thought Potter was 13.
No. Okay, whatever.
I think he was 12 because Ten Hag's the
anyway.
Yeah.
Typical Potter, unlucky 13.
Out of 20, right? That's how many have gone just this season. It shows you, because there's so much more on the line in terms of financials, and as Mo was saying earlier on, brand, and it's so valuable compared to how it used to be. With Chelsea fans, honestly, this is it, because I think there is the assumption from the outside that Chelsea fans are ruthless. We don't care about long term. It's just no, we want now. That isn't actually the case, but there's a standard. And it just isn't going to be slipped. Like, if it goes below that line, it's like, no, mate, you're out the door. But if there is someone that comes in and you can see that it's heading in the right direction, it doesn't need to be the Premier League next season. Honestly, it doesn't have to be. But there needs to be signs of progress, whoever it is. Honestly, we wanted to go long-term when it was Jose Mourinho, We felt like, this is our Sir Alex. Like, we're going to ride and die with this one.
Definitely with Tuchel.
And with Tuchel, it was the same. it got to that point where I was like, okay, he's proven that he knows what he's doing. Now we can move forward because you can see the signs are there. If it goes beyond a certain line, we're cutthroat. That is where it gets proper cutthroat because of the success and because of where the standards are. It's a fundamental value that we cannot let those standards slip because we've seen examples at other clubs where they've let it slip and they find it hard to get back up. We don't want to do that. So I think that's where it is. But Chelsea fans will be more than happy to go long term, but there needs to be progress.
Ross says we're going to move on, Miguel. I know you want to hammer down Chelsea because you're like.
I need to shoot in a couple of minutes.
Exactly. Grizz is a walking contradiction because he's argued Chelsea fans being short-term fans before, so he has agreed with Miguel. No, I'm being honest and blatantly truth. I said if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't care. I'm still saying you are short-term. You're very entitled because of Roman Abramovich, what he's done to your club. And you think you deserve trophies. You know, it doesn't always work like that. That's what I've said. But I wouldn't care if I was Chelsea fans. Like you shouldn't care what I think. Keep winning trophies. Who cares? No, but it's true. Who gives a shit what Grizz Khan thinks? And says, keep winning trophies. I'm jealous when you win trophies. Right now, I'm not jealous, though. Kevin Jimenez says, Potter changed himself too much. Go on, what are you going to say?
We'll see in May.
Okay, you keep saying that. Potter changed himself too much, tried to be something he wasn't, and I think that played a part.
I agree with that, by the way. I agree with that so much, man. He was to sum it up, right? He was happy to be there.
Listen, too much slander on Potter. He's from the same town as me, so shout out Potter. We're not all like that. So yeah,
exactly. Jimmy says Potter died on the hill of trusting Kepa, Felix, Cucurella, and Kovacic. He should have put trust into Madueke, Modric, and Mount. He will learn from this. I'm sure he will learn. He's a very intelligent man, and he will learn. But listen, moving very swiftly on to El Crapico. You missed out on that one, Sonny. Very, very massive flop to you in your first co-hosting duties. This should have been titled El Crapico because that's what it is, Eunice. What's your just very brief thoughts on tomorrow's game? How do you see it going? I don't give a shit. I'm going, so I do give a shit, but that's the kind of fan I am. On the eve of the game, I go. I do it. I don't care, but I'm going to be frontline. What's your thoughts and views on the game tomorrow?
I'll be honest. So before the sacking, I actually done a video, and I didn't put it out because I heard the news. And I was like, okay, I got to re-record because now we've got the news he's been sacked. I was expecting you guys to come up and take 3 points very easily, right?
Why? Go on.
Now, not so much. Now because I know that there's definitely going to be a relief. I think the fans are going to be all on board now. I think there's everyone's going to have room to breathe. And with the new interim, I think the one thing he can do is just to get everyone back on side within the squad. Get them playing for each other. That's it. You don't need to go deep into any tactical, nuance. Just keep everyone on side. You now have room to breathe. Go out there, play your football. Stick to what we know. We might stick to a back three. Go to what has worked previously, and some of the new players that we've brought in will probably have maybe a little bit of fun, a little bit of room to go and have some fun. So I'm expecting a good performance.
Give us some insight, if you have any, on this caretaker interim or wherever he is for now. Any idea how he will set up, or has he said anything about in terms of how he's going to set up? Back three, back 4-4-2. No idea.
Nothing. He even said he's not giving anything away. Right, he's not giving anything away. But what can he possibly do that we don't know already?
Who has he worked under? So give us an insight. Like we might be able to work out. Who is he working under? So you might follow in his footsteps in terms of the formation, whatnot.
No, you won't be able to because.
All right, thanks, Eunice. You've been
listen. We only found this out yesterday. I didn't know who he was up until yesterday. If I'm being honest, so he played for Brighton. He has like 200 and something appearances for Brighton. Yeah. He was a part of Potter's coaching setup for like 1 or 2 seasons.
Okay, so he's part of Potter's coaching
at Brighton. And then he came over as a coach, and now he's sticking around with a couple of others while the others have gone with Potter.
Interesting.
That's all we know. And he's Spanish.
See a picture of him, you recognize him. He was the left back for Brighton.
Yeah.
The bald guy.
That's right.
I honestly think he's going to be a mixture of like Potter and Graham and Chris Hughton, because those are the two managers that he was working under.
Well, let's see. I hope so. I hope he's
Wait and
as
see.
I hope he's as unsuccessful as those two managers you mentioned as well. Just for that one game only. People, Liverpool fans have been absolutely hilarious. There's tweets going around saying, "Oh, here we go. Now we're going to lose to a team managed by Andrew Tate because apparently it looks like Andrew Tate right now." So
Grizz,
yeah.
what do you think, Grizz? What do you think?
I'm gonna give my opinion once Eunice is gone because Eunice needs to go. So we're gonna get an opinion. We're gonna get a prediction from Eunice before he leaves.
I never thought I'd say this, yeah. But
why you're Chelsea at home to one of the worst Liverpool sides ever?
Oh yeah, no. Now I can think like that. Now I can think like that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So I'm going 3-1. I'm going 3-1 Chelsea. Whereas, look, if this was before he got sacked, I would have said you guys were going to rock up and win 2-0.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Amazing. But Eunice, always appreciated. I'm gonna hook up with you because I need your insight on a couple of Chelsea players that have been linked with Liverpool. We would make sure you guys check out Eunice Talks Football. He's doing some great work everywhere. You already know that. Thank you very much for your time. We'll catch up real soon, my bro.
Awesome, we'll do. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good one, lads. See you lot later. Take care. Cheers, guys. Bye, man.
Mo, my thoughts on the game. I'm not looking forward to any Liverpool game right now, bro. I just want the season to end. I only look forward to home games. Make sense of that. I only look forward to home games. It's mad.
You can go,
Jurgen Klopp,
enjoy the atmosphere and stuff.
I'm only going off even Jurgen Klopp. He's resigned. No breaking news. He hasn't resigned.
Poor choice of words.
No breaking news. He's resigned to the fact that he says, I made mistakes, and he means summer and everything, and then he means during the season as well. He's made huge mistakes, but there's nothing he can do right now. Right now is finish the season with what he's got. And then he's also said he knows there needs to be big changes, and he said that, which is the only thing I'm encouraged and looking forward to. With regards to tomorrow's game, before we move on to the other games, people, tomorrow I'm not expecting anything. If we get a point, I'll happily take it. We're rubbish at the moment. No, don't let any Liverpool fan tell you otherwise. And most Liverpool fans won't tell you otherwise anyway. We're very, very weak mentally, physically, in every way, shape, or form. I described yesterday's performance against a top rival, one of the worst I've ever seen. Some people have said the Spurs when we lost 4-1 at Wembley 2017, but we had so many chances in that game. I remember this was worse. They toyed with us. But moving swiftly on, I don't know what you got next. We've got This Is How We Do It. Sani, this is how we do it. I guess I have to come to you for this. Yeah. What? You wasn't looking forward to it. You was thinking, this is going to be a bit tricky. You know, St. James Park. Is it still called St. James Park? Whatever. But talk me through what happened, because that could easily have been far worse than the eventual 2-0. That should have been 4-5.
Agreed. First half, I was watching that game. I couldn't believe it. Not because I thought, we've underestimated Newcastle. I was just thinking, we have been so poor. Because I remember saying on the previous Premier League Khanage how we needed that international break. We were spluttering. We just about got over the line against Fulham. If it wasn't for those 2 red cards, we probably weren't even in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. But we got through to the international break. And then, Newcastle first half, like you said, and Igal just mentioned it, De Gea first half kept us in that game. He was making some great saves. And Newcastle should have gone into that first half probably 2-3-0 up. Then second half comes, they get the goal. I wasn't surprised. It was well-deserved. And then it was a question of how many more they're going to get. We did not have a goal threat. It was a shoddy performance. There wasn't any passion. We looked leggy as well. And it's funny because we thought international breaks come, we can reset, refresh. But it wasn't the case. And what it does go to show is that Ten Hag this season has made the most out of a little, because these players clearly aren't showing enough. Because, yes, we went through that great patch, agreed. But if we can't get up for this game, Newcastle away, which Newcastle for the longest, I know Sunderland are their rivals and Middlesbrough, but Man United's always been a big game for Newcastle. They were up for it. You heard Dan Burns' passion after the game. He clearly showed how much the Geordies wanted it. Luke Shaw said it as well. We didn't want it. But the concerning thing now is away from home, and I know Mo and Igal are very, very eager to talk about it as well. Away from home, our form is very concerning. Against the top 9, I don't think we've won a single game. We've conceded a hell of a lot of goals. And in the words of Castillo, it's not looking good, Brev.
It's not, but the reason being is because your style of play against these top teams, you resort back to Ollie's ball, and you guys let the teams get on you, get on you, get on you. They had 22 shots to your like 6, and you could 24. Wow,
no, 22. We only had 4 shots.
You had 4. Oh wow,
Yeah.
I gave you guys I gave you guys too much praise, giving you 6. But when it comes down to it, is Rashford actually injured? Because like you can't afford Rashford actually missing too much game time because he's your main goal scoring outlet, and everyone gets on to Casemiro. But without Casemiro, your midfield is weak. We know that. But what is the solutions? He's had all season. He still can't really find a solution, and Ten Hag has been doing a great job getting you guys up to where you guys are at. But to go on to the next level, you guys are going to need to at least get the Champions League football this year and see what you guys can do in the summer, because Newcastle, they look the real deal, and I think we would all take 3 or 4 players from that team.
Sani started by saying the players and Ten Hag. To be honest, Sani, just be honest with yourself. You have to call out Ten Hag for this game. He got it all wrong. Playing Bruno as the deepest midfielder, playing McTominay next to Weghorst, he got it all wrong. There was no coverage. There was no instruction for coverage. Luke Shaw was left isolated against Trippier and Murphy, and Martinez had to cover. It was all wrong. Tactically, it was wrong. Rashford was out of the game. He was taken out of the game with Trippier going forward more than he actually does most of the time. So how did Rashford was non-existent when the right back that's supposed to be covering was not even there? It's all on Ten Hag. This game, questions have to be asked, to be honest, especially with what Igal said. Why does he revert? Why does he forget about the way he wants to play football when he goes away? And yes, it's Newcastle. I think Newcastle is the 3rd best team in the country. But again, it's Man United. You are in a good form. You should have played your style. You should impose your style. He's not doing it away from home. And questions should be asked. Going forward, without Casemiro, it's only Casemiro away in this game, and you lost everything. The tactical shape, every marking was wrong. Everything was wrong. As you said, they should have been 2-3-0 the first half. You point to the coach. When the whole thing is falling apart, you point to the coach.
I'll just double up with or triple up with the questions and assault on Sane and Man United. But I'll try to be a bit more nuanced with it. I agree that Ten Hag has made massive improvements in that club. You was a shambles. Now you're looking like a far better team, a far more cohesive unit. The desire and attitude in majority of the games, you can see the desire to keep a clean sheet and all that fist pumps with Lissandro and everyone when you keep a clean sheet. But there is still huge issues because the results suggest that against the big clubs, there is a mental break. Is it a mental breakdown? Because when you lose it, you completely lose it. So conceding 4 to Brentford, 6 to Man City, 7 to Liverpool, should have been 4-5 yesterday by all accounts. What is it? Because suddenly it can't just be Casemiro, can it?
It's not. I think it's a few things. Firstly, like the boys have said, game plan's a big thing. There wasn't really a style of play that we had on Sunday. I mean, there are other issues as well. Players. I mean, with all due respect to Diego Dallo, I know he had a good period just before the World Cup, but he was getting cooked alive by Alexander Maximan. And I know Van Bissaka wasn't feeling ill, but that's another issue that we need to address at some point. Fullbacks aren't good enough. Central midfield is a massive issue, like Igal said as well. And Mo, the thing is, if you're playing Bruno as your deepest line midfielder, it's not going to work.
Well, there you go. Channel member sends in a super chat. Channel member Kevin sends in a super chat. He says, we need midfielders so bad. Not all on ETH. I disagree.
But Sonny, don't you think he should work with the hand he's dealt? At least like make it better, make it look better.
But he
like
has.
But yesterday, because Sonny just mentioned that Dallo yesterday. Dallo was left exposed as one of the most technical players in the league for the whole of 70 minutes. What do you want him to do?
Well, let Sonny finish, guys. Let Sonny finish, guys.
Yeah.
No, so just going on to the midfield, the problem with the midfield as well is, although we got Eriksen on a free, which is great, you can't really rely on someone like Eriksen who've just signed as a free. We need midfielders. And going forward, I know Rashford has scored a lot of goals for us, and I know people are talking he might be injured, but that game did show Rashford's deficiencies as a player. And this is why I love Rashford, but why I always say I don't think he is the best winger in the league, in my opinion, because he doesn't have that creative output, in my opinion. Going forward, Anthony, I think he had a good battle with Dan Burn, but you could tell I said it before on Premier League Khanage. He's not physical enough for the Prem at the moment, but he's still due some time. Weghorst, he tries hard, and I love his passion, but there's only so much trying hard you can do. But going back to Mo as well, you're right to an extent. Ten Hag does need to do as much as he can with the cards he's dealt with. But there's only so much you can do when someone like, God bless Scott McTominay, but he's losing it on the edge of his box trying to play out. I don't know if that's Ten Hag trying to teach him, play out from the back. But there's some things you just kick it out.
You want to know something? To be honest, I think it's kind of unfair, the criticism that you're getting for losing to Newcastle, because this Newcastle team has a better midfield than majority of teams in this league.
I don't think they're getting criticized for losing to Newcastle, because everyone can lose to Newcastle away. Newcastle away is a very tough game.
Only one team have beaten them away.
It's the shitty Liverpool. But the point being is
the performance.
It's the manner. It's the performance. Overall, in a select few games, the
Arsenal game, so defensive. Yes, they scored 2, but you remember that game, you were under the hammer.
That's the thing.
Whole game.
That's the thing. People forget that game. I know it was a great game. I know Arsenal scored at the end, but the reason that game was heartbreaking was because Igal's team scored right at the end. It wasn't because we were like, oh my God, we were in it. Because Arsenal were all over us. Arsenal should have been a couple goals up, to be honest.
But remember, inside the 18, Luke Shaw defending to Saka inside the 18 like 10 times.
We were there were just waves of attack, and I was like, God, we are riding the pressure here. And football's like that. However, you're right. That Nketiah goal was the reason why we were heartbroken. Liverpool, Grizz knows, we were getting absolutely smothered at Anfield. Chelsea, we played them earlier in the season, so it was a long time. I think we got a draw there. Just about got that. Spurs away is going to be a hard game. The race for the Champions League's hotting up. Newcastle away, we just lost. And like Grizz said, they've only lost once at home all season. That was to Liverpool when Nick Pope got sent off. They've only conceded 9 goals in 13 games at home. It's a formidable place to go, but losing like that, it's very concerning, especially when we've got a lot to play for in the season. There's no guarantees we beat Brighton in the FA Cup semi-final. There's no guarantee we win the Europa League. There's some very good sides left in that competition.
There's no guarantee you get top 4.
There's no now. The funny thing is, there's no guarantee we make top 4 because, like I said, there's some big games coming up. We still have Spurs away.
But if you do get top 4, just to be balanced here, guys, if they do get top 4, I feel like they deserve a lot of credit this season if they do get top 4, because they're not too far away from pushing up even further. And Ten Hag in his first season to get top 4, like it might be rich coming from me. I'm an Arsenal.
No, it's absolutely a successful season.
Yeah,
if they get top
trophies.
4,
yeah, and they got a trophy. That's a massive season for Ten Hag. Congratulations to them. And I only think this might be crazy to say to some people, but they're not too far away from challenging for a league in the future.
100%, because you see the style, right? You can tell that this guy has an idea that he wants to implement in that club. Also, he has a good authority, about players, and he's a good manager. And I think they're moving. I'm a big fan of his, but I feel like sometimes, even if you're a big fan, you can criticize a coach.
It's absolutely no problem, because I've been on Klopp's tail, and rightly so. Many Liverpool fans will tell you, great coaches make bad moves. Jose Mourinho has been making awful decisions the last couple of years. He's one of the all-time greats. Pep Guardiola, every time he reached the latter stage of the Champions League, has been making awful mistakes. It's fine. They're human. They're not, they all make mistakes. I think Ten Hag is a very good coach, and we have to balance it up. I know, we have to balance it up by saying he's done a tremendous job overall. He walked into an absolute mess. Pardon the pun, carnage. There was carnage all over Man United. It was carnage. Players, egos, contracts. He got rid of the players they didn't want. Very similar to how Arteta has sort of evolved the Arsenal situation. Arteta walked into a mess. Had to be patient with him. But if they reach the Champions League, like I think they will, and they won the League Cup, and they're in the semi-final and the quarter-final of the Europa. That's a very, very good season. But before we move on, if you don't reach the Champions League final, spaces.
You're making me dream already.
Yeah, dream already. If you don't reach top 4, and let's say you don't pick up one of the 2 trophies that you're in, just the Carabao Cup, how are you looking at the season then, Sonny?
Listen, I know a lot of fans had us, only finishing outside the top 4 this season. But for me, and I say it always, if you're in a certain position, you need to capitalize. I said it the other day, You know, the rated R superstar edge, the ultimate opportunist. You need to make these opportunities pay when you're in a position. You don't want them to go under the radar. And the thing is, fine, people can say, oh, you know, we were never really fancy for top four, but that's not the point. If you're in a position, you want to capitalize it. I remember a couple of seasons ago, Leicester, they were in the top four for both seasons up until the final day of the season. It was something ridiculous about how many days they were in it, but they didn't make it. Fine, they're in Europe, whatever. But if you're in this position, you got to make the opportunities pay. And I know we're going to move on to the next topic, but one thing I will say with Ten Hag as well is, and I didn't understand this, he took off Martinez and Varane, and the only centre-back he actually had on the pitch was Lindelof, right? And the players we actually brought on to the pitch, and this is an issue for our squad that we need to address. We brought on Fred, Pellistri, Martial, who's probably going end of the season, and a player, and I saw Ash's comment on this as well, Jadon Sancho, a player that came back into the fold, played really well against Leeds. I was at that game. And then since then, it's kind of gone under the radar again, not really performing. And it's a conversation that needs to be had about Jadon Sancho in the future.
Since lifting the Carabao Cup, Man United haven't scored a goal or won a match in the Premier League. That is wild. But it's a wild season, guys. It's a wild season. I know we're saying, oh, this could happen, this could happen. There is no predictions to be made, with any conviction. The only prediction we can make for sure, pretty much, is that Man City won't drop many more points, which segues into the title race. Jesus resurrects Arsenal before Easter.
He returned. Jesus returned.
Igal, I know you've been through the mud and come out again. I know you've been pushing the trust the process slogan, support your club, through some of your mad Arsenal fans that you've got all over social media. We don't mention no names on this show, but there's some mad Arsenal fans up in this universe that have been slaughtering the process, slaughtering your manager, and now are absolutely jockeying him. But you've been one of the real ones and the true ones from the start, and that's why I thought you can make your debut on Premier League Khanage and gloat away, my brother. I think you are on the verge of winning the Premier League. How does it feel?
I think the game against Liverpool will almost be like a title. Obviously, there's a couple of games left, but people thought, Grizz, that with Jesus coming back from injury and the team playing the way that they are this season, that we're going to drop points. Every week, I hear people saying we're going to drop points, we're going to drop points. The level of consistency we are showing, you have to understand, this is the 6th highest point total in Premier League history at this moment in time. Arsenal are on 72 points. In the last 7 or 8 years, there's only 2 times where we wouldn't be top of the league, and that's the Centurion season and that's Liverpool's COVID season. So at this moment in time, people need to respect the level that we're on.
Yeah, relax the COVID season. It was COVID in February when we had already won the title. We won the title in December.
I didn't have to say COVID. I didn't mean.
Our title season. Yeah, COVID happened in February when we were 27.
Okay, I'll rephrase 27. It. Liverpool's title winning season, and the Centurions were the only teams in the last 7 or 8 years that's even comes close. That is better than this, right? And then you have to understand that we've had injuries, we've had all these things, we've weathered the storm. Mikel Arteta has gone through his tough times. He got through the culture, and really and truly, this team is ready. We have the experience in Jesus, we have the experience in Zinchenko, we have the experienced players coming through. We have the young players, one of the best young players in Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, who I honestly do believe don't get enough hype from the rest of the world of football, because I see some of the hype that the guy from Napoli gets, for example, Kevin what's his name? You know who I'm talking about. I can't say his name, but in comparison to them, they're performing, and I really do believe, similar to how you guys had the 2 best wing duo, and you had like a team that was just coming together at the same time. We've now found that ourselves at Arsenal, and it's like, the level of intensity we play in these games, we blow teams out early. And if we don't win games early, we find a way with the resilience to win at the end of the day. And it's just beautiful to see. As a fan who's been through all the COVID days and all the war, all the terrible days, and all the days where Mikel Arteta losing 15 in a row, similar to Graham Potter, and to be on the end of it now, potentially winning a league title, it's beautiful. And sometimes they say, tough times never last, only tough people last, right? So that's what it is.
Mo, it's coming up to, like, we've questioned Arsenal, we've put tests in front of them, we've put barriers, we've said, what, this is the one, this is the game. Finally, I can say, if they go to Anfield and win, for me, it's over. If they avoid defeat, I think they remain favourites. But if they lose, I'm not sure the pressure will. I think they may succumb to the pressure because they still have to go to Liverpool. They still they've been to Liverpool. They still have to go to Newcastle. They still have to go to City. Those are three horrible fixtures for them.
So for me, a couple of things I want to talk about Arsenal here quickly is that the way I see Arsenal and the way I talk about City is that authority, and I see Arsenal against Crystal Palace, against Fulham, against Leeds, authority. That means it's my game and you're playing in it the way I want. I had no doubt that Arsenal win the Leeds game. People were nervous, and I'm like, no, they're gonna walk this game. They're gonna win this game. Against Fulham, they made them look so average. I don't care if it's Palhinha, not Palhinha. They made them look so average that it's unbelievable. Crystal Palace, with everybody saying it's a tough game, average. And for me, and it doesn't matter if it's Saliba, it doesn't matter if it's Jorginho, it doesn't matter if it's Holding. There is a system, and everybody's in it, and it's working. Trossard on the right, struggled first time to play on the right. Oh, they scored, and he assisted. So it doesn't matter. So at this point, who am I to question Arsenal? Yes, we did question them before, but who am I to sit here and say, and ignore all of this and be blind and say, no, they're still going to lose. No, there are no signs that they're going to lose. However, if they win against Liverpool, the pressure is on City because City are going to go to this game with one option, which is winning. Arsenal will go to this game with all the options for them. Even if they lose, they're still going to be top. But if Arsenal lose to Liverpool, now City will go to this game thinking that if we win it, we're done. We're top. It's over from there. I think Arsenal might win against Liverpool at Anfield. I think Arsenal have it in them to go to Anfield and try to stamp their way of playing football on them. It can be done. It's not that hard. Man City tried to do that, but Liverpool hit them on the counter. Man City controlled possession like what they normally do. But I think Arsenal are more effective than City. I see Arsenal are more effective team than City, to be honest, because the goals are spread over players. Anybody can score. Xhaka can score. Saka can score. Anybody can score. So this is Arsenal for me this year.
The level of respect we showed Liverpool over the last couple of years when we played them, going into those games, being worried and being fearful. Going into this game, we're going to be a little bit more confident, but respectful. It's not going to be a situation where this game for us is going to be similar to how we went into the Tottenham game and the Chelsea game away. We know that we're currently in a better situation than you guys, but we're not going to go there cocky. This is going to be a game where we're going to go there and be like, if we don't play well, you guys could beat us, and we respect you guys to a certain level. It's not going to be a situation where we come there like it's an easy 3 points, like certain people were talking about before, and then got their ass handed to them 7-0. So hey,
yes, is it about someone in the chat is saying, is it about the Liverpool who show up, but also it's about the Arsenal, which Arsenal?
Oh, absolutely. I think every
problem though.
Every question that we've asked of this Arsenal team, barring Everton away, which can happen, bad timing, morning kickoffs away from home, Everton, the new manager bounce. The Man City game, I don't think they deserve to lose, But most of the obstacles and challenges that we put in front of Arsenal, that back in the day, they would have buckled. Do you remember every time away to Palace? This is where they lose. Away to Brentford, they're going to get bullied.
Fulham,
Fulham, yeah, all these kind of things. They've blown these teams away, and I should have no right to say this, but I'm still going to say it. Liverpool away is still an obstacle for teams. Yeah, I know we're shit. I know we're crap. We're absolute shambles right now. But I still think Arsenal will have major mental obstacle. And we know they've got a mental obstacle. I used to treat this game, honestly, I used to enjoy Arsenal at home and Everton home the most because I know we're guaranteed to beat them. Whatever happens, wherever we are in the league, whatever anyone says, we're going to beat Arsenal and Everton at home. For the first time, I have no idea. because we're so crap and Arsenal are so good. I said at the Emirates game earlier in the season, and I was there, I witnessed it live-handed. Even though we were unlucky to lose because that offside decision was the wrong one and the penalty was no way penalty. The referees have come out and said it wasn't a penalty since then. I thought Arsenal looked like the young Liverpool, the first emergence of the Liverpool. The intensity, the pressing, the wide forwards, the midfield setup, the back two one-on-one defenders, the high line they play. I saw the emergence of the initial Jurgen Klopp team, and they've gone on and done great things. I think they deserve to win the league. Will they win the league? I genuinely think, Asani, it will come down to this weekend. I know they've got City to come, but they can afford to lose to City if they beat Arsenal.
I think
Liverpool, sorry.
No, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Grizz. And I've said it before, Anfield is the hardest place to go in the Premier League. I said it in a podcast I was on recently. If Arsenal go to Anfield and beat Liverpool, it's a massive statement win. It's like a couple seasons ago when City finally won the league under Pep. They went to Stamford Bridge, and I'm pretty sure they won 1-0, and Kevin De Bruyne scored. And people were like, wow, City are the real deal. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal aren't the real deal. What I'm saying is a statement win is to go to Anfield and beat them. Arsenal haven't beaten Liverpool at Anfield in the league since 2007. A certain Thierry Henry was a player then, which goes to show how long ago
Arteta started that game in the midfield where we won, and Santi Cazorla and Podolski scored.
In 2007? That was...
No, in 2013? When was it? Something like that.
2007 is the last time you actually won at Anfield.
Really?
You haven't, in the league, you haven't actually beaten them since 2007, which goes to show what Grizz's point in terms of it's a mental thing that Arsenal have, especially the big clubs, especially around that era. Arsenal did find it tricky, but to think that it's been that long is crazy. And realistically, Grizz is right. I think this is probably the biggest game, I think anyway, in Arsenal season, because I know you've got that patch where you have City away, Chelsea home, Newcastle away, and that's 3 very hard games, granted. But this is the game where you come out of this with a good result. I think things are looking good for you, Igal.
Just a super chat before we finish up in the next couple of minutes. Ibi says, Grizz, my brother, I'm about to go Masjid for Tarawih in my du'as. I would include hoping for an Arsenal win at Anfield. Always nervous there. Have a spiritual time in the mosque, in the masjid. Stop thinking about football, my friend.
Yes, please
stop. But no, big up, Ibi.
The last time Arsenal beat Liverpool is 2012.
2012. And Mikel Arteta was in the midfield. Could I just say one more thing on this, Grizz, before you
say 2 more things?
I think Arsenal will win it, and I really do believe it. And I just think the reason why I believe that we're going to do it is just because City have to be faultless, and I believe they have been this consistent this season, but their level of consistency and our level of consistency have matched. And I think just going the rest of the way, everyone keeps saying City is going to be undefeated and Arsenal is going to drop points, or some people are saying City are going to drop points and Arsenal are going to be inconsistent. I think it's going to be in the middle. And I think going the rest of the way, we cancel each other out. And if we cancel each other out, and the rest of the way, I still think Arsenal's point difference that we have right now keeps us ahead of them and keeps us to win this league.
Are they going to win the league, Sonny?
I think they will, and I hope they do. I do not want Manchester City three-peating. Thank you very much. So, yeah.
Or treble.
Arsenal. Yeah, well, that, but I think three-peat is like a big thing, that is, to win 3 leagues in a row in the Premier League.
Well, if they win the three-peat and it coincides with the treble, will they be... Okay, just a very quick debate. If they do the three-peat, which coincides with a treble simultaneously, will they be the greatest Premier League team ever?
Yeah.
It'd be hard to argue against it, wouldn't it?
Mo?
Yes.
Judge Mo with the final answer.
And Pep Guardiola will be the best coach to ever grace the Premier League.
I think he is anyway. As a coach, and I've said it, there are arch rivals. They're my nemesis. They're my enemy. If it wasn't for Man City, Liverpool would have won X, Y, Z. But I always say, Pep Guardiola is the best coach, and he will go down as one of the greatest coaches ever. Argue with my fridge. Don't argue with me.
How do you feel about this, though, this season? Because I see a lot of Liverpool fans get sort of upset that we've kind of taken your place in the position in the challenge for against City this season.
What's upsetting about it? Why? Of course it's upsetting. It's upsetting because, yeah, you're right. You have come through the ranks, but football doesn't stop for no one. Why? We haven't got those fans are probably too entitled. The ones I cuss Chelsea and whatever, like, I'm not entitled like that. If we stand still like we have in the last 12 months in the transfer market, we will be caught up. If you maintain it, kudos to you. I know we will be back next year. I know we will make 3-4 signings that will make us back. I know the issues are glaring. He has messed up. Absolutely. But I think a lot of players know they're going. There's 3-4 players that know they're going. And there's 3-4 players know that their positions will be taken. And so that leaves about 6-7 players unsure. And Liverpool is all about stability, togetherness, energy. And if you haven't got that, we haven't got, I'm sorry, it's not excuse, it's fact. We haven't got the finance to keep churning out players every time we think they're gone. We have to show trust and faith in them. But obviously, there's too much faith and there's too much trust as well. So it's a balance. But it's exciting for Premier League Khanage. It's exciting for the Premier League. Man, we got so many teams next season. Man United are looking to probably come back next season, buy a striker, buy another midfielder, buy another centre-back. They'll be back. Man City, we know, will reinforce. That's what they do every season. Even if they don't buy many, what they do buy is £100 million midfielder in young Grealish, or £100 million striker. And he's not £100 million. I know, before City fans come for me, and maybe Daps and Huey and Steve are in the chat lurking around. I know he's not £100 million, but we know the package is worth about £700 million. So I'm just talking about the package. But this is what they do. They buy, and we know Arsenal will reinvest. Chelsea will reinvest again under a new coach, possibly Nagelsmann. And we have to do the same. But it's exciting. We were excited. I think we're in for a fantastic. We didn't get a chance to speak about the relegation. Wow. That's probably, no, it's much tighter at the bottom even. It's crazy. It's about 6 points covering 12 teams or something, or 10 teams.
Yeah. 18. One last thing I want to add about this, because of the relegation, this season, there is no easy game in the coming games. It's either you're fighting relegation or you're playing for Europe. There is no team in the middle that is sitting.
Absolutely.
So there is no easy game.
There's no easy game. You're either trying to get into Europa or Europe, or you're fighting for relegation.
Yeah.
So this is why it's so difficult to predict. Sid the Kid sent in a super chat, says Arsenal's record against City is just as horrific. Yeah, they're gonna have to overcome this. City players don't fear Arsenal one bit, and Pep already set the bar as winning every game to lift it. I couldn't disagree with you. I absolutely agree with everything that you've said there. And they will have to. Igao, as much as positive and everything he is, he knows you're going to have to go to Man City and overcome that record, that fear, that mental block. 2 games, the Liverpool game and the Man City game. You're going to have to come over mental barriers. But if you do, wow, will you have deserved this league title? So it's in your own hands, right? And that's where you wanted it. It's not in your wildest dreams. Even you, Mr. Positive Arsenal, some would say, I won't say the word they use, but Mr. Ultra Positive Arsenal, even you in your wildest dreams couldn't think that Monday, 3rd of April, we're talking about the league title being in your hands.
It's crazy. You know, you see at the beginning of every season the odds of winning the league. And this season for us, it was 40-1 odds. Now, when I seen that, I made a joke. I said, at least we have a chance. But like, I never actually thought we were going to win or even be in this position. So I'm very grateful of what the club and the team and the players have done, and the ability to push us to this height. I've never seen a league title and been in the country while the league title has been going on. And I haven't even been to a Champions League game in my life. So I can't wait for that.
Guys, we must end the show. I've got to get ready for Big Six, and I've got to have 2 more cups of tea. There's nothing better. When you're opening your fast, you can have all the samosas and the pakoras and the parathas and the biryanis and everything else. Nothing beats a cup of tea. Oh, it's amazing.
Do you drink tea with milk?
So simplistic. I drink the opposite of what you drink, because I know what you drink. You Egyptians, Arabs, Middle East, I know what you guys... You guys
drink, black tea.
Exactly. I drink the total opposite. Total opposite. In fact, some would say I have milk with a touch of water. That's how milky my tea is. I love it. Tetley's, I'm so simplistic and old school. Mo, you need to invite me over, man. I need to get over.
To America.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
You're coming to America.
Yeah, 20th of June. I'm not sure if I was allowed to reveal it, but I've done it now. The big reveal.
Wow.
Big Six is hitting New York.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
We're coming, baby. We're coming. So we will definitely link up. But Sonny, how'd you find the first co-hosting session?
Yeah, no, I definitely.
Did we use all of your banners? Did we miss out?
Yeah, we did. We used all of them, so I'm happy with the selection.
Amazing.
So, like I said, in the words of Roman Reigns, acknowledge me.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to get used to this. Bilal's probably watching and saying, nah, he's not ready to take my place. But Bilal, you got competition, son. Igal, hope you've enjoyed your first, hopefully, definitely not your last appearance on my channel.
Big up, Grizz. Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it. Honestly, it's a pleasure being here.
Excellent. And Mo, we will be back for Eurostars Thursday. We're still deciding whether we're going to do the team of the season, or we've probably got loads of action to get through, but we'll work on that. People, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. If you haven't, I don't know how many likes we're on, but it's probably shambolic because that's what you guys are weak these days. I don't know what it is. But yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been Premier League Khanage. Over and out. Until next time, take care.